say welcome back, and I just want to say also that we're very impressed with your establishing lines of communication, certainly with the members of the banking committee as well as the insurance committee. And me personally, we spent an hour in my office, and it was over an hour and a half with our committee in terms of the confirmation meeting, discussing the various issues. And speaking of communication, I understand you're reaching out to the industry and other stakeholders, and also establishing those lines of communication, which I think is critically important. And I know the time we have spent together, both in my office and at the committee meeting, we talked about the various roles that you now are assuming as a superintendent, being a regulator of insurance, speaking specifically of the insurance side, looking after the solvency of our companies so that the insurance is there to pay claims when people need all the other various products, as well as consumer protection. Enhancing the industry, very important. When we established the Department of Financial Services, we have right in the mission statement. That is a important part of the role of that department and the superintendent specifically to work to help to enhance and grow our financial services industry in our state, which is so critically important to our economy. And you've acknowledged that, which I'm pleased to hear. Also modernizing and streamlining regulation of insurance in our state to keep us up to date with what's happening in other states and how we can help particularly our particular companies, and also bring new products to market in a more expeditious way here in New York for the benefit of our consumers and our industry. And finally, we've talked about the need to combat insurance fraud, which impacts all of us around the state through the root out fraud and the help with the rates as well. So I just want to say I look forward to supporting your confirmation today, and also continuing through keeping those lines of communication open, continue to work with you on all of these various issues going forward for the betterment of people of our state. And Madam Chair, at the appropriate time, I'd be very honored to do the confirmation at the appropriate time.
I think that would be most appropriate since you're chair of the Insurance Committee in the Senate. So thank you, Senator Seward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
That was a tough question.
Yes. You handled it beautifully.
I could have handled it.
I was told don't say anything if you.
You can't get in trouble for what you do. Senator Lanza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Right now that our secret is out, I want to really congratulate you. And I want to commend the mayor, by the way.
You're not going to live that one down like that.
Mayor on
I won't take that back in the interest of time. I commend the governor. I believe really knocked this one out of the park. In some respects, I have been a witness once removed from your remarkable career. Whenever I would visit with Marcel, my wife's grandparents, they would update me about a certain brilliant young attorney who they had watched grow as a neighbor. And it's one thing to have your own grandparents brag about you, but to have someone else's. That's pretty remarkable. And in looking over your resume, you truly have had a remarkable career, and I want to thank you for sharing your considerable talents with the people of the state of New York in this very, very important role. And I look forward to working with you again. Congratulations.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate that. I heard some good things about you too. They were very practical as well.
Did they come from the mayor?
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Senator Kaminsky.
Senator Lanza almost inadvertently duped you. So I echo Senator Lanza's sentiments. We also went to the same law school, so proud in that way too. But I do want to just let you know I represent the South Shore of Nassau County, and I guess I could say that I also speak for Senators Savino and Lanza about Hurricane Sandy. And our areas were really devastated. We had hardworking, tax-paying, law-abiding people who totally felt let down. Their insurance companies gave them every runaround possible to try to deny them at every turn. Obviously, there was a magistrate judge in the Eastern District on Central Islip that found almost fraud going on with respect to FEMA complaints. But I certainly think the desire to try to shortchange residents did not limit that. And people just totally, felt like they had it put to them unfairly. And I could tell you hundreds of horror stories about exceptions and the earth moving exception and this exception, and somebody had, for example, hurricane caused water coming in their home and the boiler would fall down. And the flood insurance person would say, well, it wasn't caused by the flood, it was caused by the boiler. And the home insurance person said, no, it's caused by the flood. They would go like this, and then people had nowhere to go. So we don't need to do this now. We got a long way to go. I would just love to have a conversation with you after this sometime in the future about what we can do to make sure that insurance companies are held to task and that we have comprehensive way of dealing with this again. I, for one, am not willing to act like the parents and say, well, 50 years we'll want another storm. Like there's something coming. And I know that we're trying to be as resilient as we can, but there's going to be flooding. And the question is, what are we going to do to make sure that when people pay their premiums their whole lives, that they're not left with nothing? So we don't need to do this now. I'm going to vote for you. I'm trying to do so, but let's think about this going forward, because a lot of people feel let down. A lot of people feel that the government wasn't there enough to help them when they turn to that.
I'd be happy to, and as August approaches, I think we need to it's not necessarily August, but the time of year that we're approaching certainly presents certain possibilities. I'm certainly not a weather person, but the history suggests that it may repeat itself. I'd be happy to speak with you as soon as we're able to start thinking about the best way to be prepared.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Squadron.
Thank you very much. I share the sentiments around the room. Such an important job. Having someone with their experience and their knowledge, they're something the state is very fortunate for. Among the big job you have, maybe in sort of the dusty corner, but very important, is overseeing external appeals of health insurance. And over the course, there's a legislative mandated report that has DFS has been created, fall into DFS. Over the course of its history, some administrations have been done quite poorly, and others quite effectively. The history under this governor and the prior superintendent is quite positive, so I would urge you to continue the report of that quality. We also were in discussions at the time that Superintendent Fossey left about creating a searchable database for external appeals, as some other states do, with individual privacy protected, both for patients and also to create sort of a little more of a predictable, consistent standard. That's a great way to do that. I would really urge you to pick that up and look forward to doing so after you're confirmed. Something that has to happen in concert with the budget process. We've got time for next year, but I would just hope that we'll have that conversation in time to make a good decision. External appeals can be, they were for constituent positive about the difference between life and death in some cases. There's the ability to get medication. So
no, and the external appeals is absolutely critical, and I think I don't have the statistics exactly, but in about half of the cases, the appeal overturns the decision that was made by an insurance company. So, it's obviously an important program. We also have the prompt pay program on sort of health insurance rates, because there is the period of time for payment. I think it's 45 days, and so we can enforce that law as well. But on the database issues, be happy to talk to you about it. I don't know that in great detail at this moment, but be happy to talk to you about that and how we can be more efficient in collecting the data, and obviously the reporting function is something that I take seriously as well.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Krueger.
Thank you. I don't want to take any time. I have had the opportunity to meet with you. I have quite a few friends in common who, by the way, I can't even go home if we don't. I'll make sure that you are the DFS commissioner, so secretary. So we got to get this done. Just on behalf of your mutual friends who are out there cheering you on. But the fact is, I listened to both the Insurance and Banking Committee interview with you, had my own opportunity to talk to you, even just around this room today. There are such critically important functions for the agency we're getting asked to lead. No one here forgets that because of the banking industry, the mortgage servicing industry, we almost brought the entire world's economy to a halt just a few years ago. So regulating banks and watching what they are doing, credit unions, insurance companies, as was just discussed, the concerns about health insurance, about flood insurance. You have so many roles to play, and I have to say, I have no question that you will qualify to do so. So I'd actually like to let you get out of this room and go back to work, because we in the state of New York need you there to help so many critical functions, and I'm very, very pleased that Governor Cuomo nominated you for this position. So thank you for taking on the job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a couple of things from my perspective. There are things that I would just urge you to continue to work on. One has to do with domestic insurers, and Senator Krueger just brought up regulation, which of course you need regulation, but in New York State we have over-regulation, and we're at risk of losing some of those companies, such as MetLife, for example, because of over-regulation. Obviously that has a very negative impact on consumers because of lack of competition, which when there's competition, it brings rates down, but also on people who are employed in those companies. The loss of jobs hurts all of us in there. So I would just urge you to continue to work on those issues. Also, the Health Republic situation, as you know, it's a very strong point of concern for many of the senators around the table, and what happened there, and making sure that it doesn't happen again. But also, we still have a problem with making service providers whole and that sort of thing. So we need to work on coming up with a solution on that. And also just in general, I know all of us hear from our constituents about the high cost of health insurance. There are rate increases, Senator Seward knows this, but there are rate increases upwards of 30%. It's very difficult for people to be able to afford. And again, we need some solutions as far as keeping those costs down. So there's a lot to do. However, you do have a very impressive resume, record. You did a great job answering questions today. I think people around the table have confidence in your abilities in moving forward. So the question is on the nomination of Maria T. Vullo, the Superintendent of Financial Services. So Senator Seward would like to move. We have seconds from Senator Lanza, Senator Kaminsky, Senator Larkin, Senator Marcelino, and Senator Ransenhofer. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. Next person to appear is Roberta Reardon, is Commissioner of Labor. Welcome.
Good afternoon. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you? Good, thank you.
So welcome. The first question is, what is your sign?
I'm a Leo.
A Leo. Can we have some order, please? notes down. Again, welcome.
Thank you.
And we had a great conversation in my office too, so I know that you brought some remarks. So we'll go through the same format where Ms. Reardon will give some remarks, and then we'll move forward into questions. And I don't see Senator Farley here, but he also, I just want to point out, he's a member of the Screen Actors Guild, card-carrying member, so.
I was his president.
But why don't you go ahead?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Young. I am so honored to be here today with all of you. I first would like to thank you for your time and thank Governor Cuomo for nominating me for this important post. This nomination has both humbled me and given me great hope for the future. I want to tell you a little bit about my background. As Senator Young said, I come out of the entertainment business. I am an actor. No, you have not seen me in a movie. I didn't do movies, but I did lots of theater, commercials, television, voiceovers, narrations, and I can pretty much guarantee that I have been in your living room at some point. It was a wonderful, wonderful career, and I really enjoyed it for a long time. One of the things I learned very early on from my mentor, he said to me, I'd been in New York for maybe 5 years, and he said, listen, kid, remember, it's called show business, not show art. And those were very important words to me, because if you're going to be a successful freelance actor, you also have to be a successful small business owner, because you are your own business. I took that very much to heart, and it helped me tremendously throughout my career. I became active with my unions. Most professional actors belong to at least 2 unions. I belong to 3. And I was elected to various posts. I was elected the president of the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists in 2007. And as the president of that union, I chaired many negotiations with the industry, with the film industry, with the networks, with the recording industry, and with the commercial industry. And at those tables, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about my industry, but I also learned a lot about business. And I learned how critical it was in those negotiations for both sides of the table to come together and work together, because we needed to have a successful, viable, thriving industry in order for us to be able to be successful as performers. And those were great lessons that I learned with my partners. I also was a trustee for the Health and Retirement Fund of the AFTRA funds, and there also I worked very, very closely with the industry, because we were trustees on the same side of the table. We had one collective point, which was to make sure that the investments were strong and would maintain these funds for decades to come. And again, these were colleagues from across the other side of the table, but we worked together very closely, and I understand how important it is that business and their workers and their employers both thrive. In 2012, I was very fortunate. I led the merger of Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA, and we formed a new union, SAG-AFTRA, and I was the founding co-president of that union for 18 months, and then I stepped down. I was consulted with the AFL-CIO on a program called Common Sense Economics, which was actually fascinating to do for about 1.5 years before I came here. And I'm a fellow at the Worker Institute of Cornell University. You know, so much of what I have worked on throughout my professional life and what I'm passionate about personally is in line with Governor Cuomo's vision for New York State. Should I be confirmed as the State Labor Commissioner, my highest priorities will be to continue the great work and momentum of the Governor, the Department of Labor, and of course all of you, the legislature. We've already done so much to lower the unemployment rate here in New York State, in large part thanks to the tremendous job growth that we've seen in the last 5 years under this administration, creating more than 7.9 million jobs, and that is a record, I do believe, and it's a great record to have. Now, we need to join forces to get the long-term unemployed and those with barriers to employment back to work, while providing a level playing field for businesses and providing economic justice for all workers. The Department of Labor plays a major role in strengthening the economy by connecting job seekers to jobs and supporting businesses in hiring. We accomplish this through innovative programs and by working with the Empire State Development Corporation and the Regional Economic Development Councils to strategically focus on individual industries and provide assistance where and when it's needed. We need skilled labor for the industries of the future, like clean energy and nanotechnology. And we must ensure that we connect young people with jobs and education, whether that is a trade school, an apprenticeship, a certificate program, or a college degree. That is how we will sustain, build, and strategically diversify this wonderful state. Our job at the Department of Labor is to talk to workers and businesses about opportunities, and then use what we've learned to connect them to educators in each region so that we can target what's needed to close the skills gap. We see businesses as customers, and at DOL, we want to keep our customers happy by providing the services that they need to ensure New York's workforce is well-trained as well as accessible. Job postings and referrals, career fairs, custom recruitments are just some of the services that our business services staff can provide to help businesses meet their workforce needs no matter where they are in the state, and all of these are done free of charge to the businesses as well as to the job seekers. Our staff helped Global Foundries in Saratoga County recruit 2,000 workers. In Rochester and Syracuse, business services staff helped Sutherland Global hire more than 400 workers. And in New York City, and then here in the capital region, we helped Whole Foods hire more than 150 people. And the list, thankfully, goes on and on. We do more than just workforce development. Our business owner trainings, outreach presentations, mediation programs, and self-audit programs are all part of our efforts to give businesses the information they need to understand and comply with labor laws. And again, this is at no cost to the employers. The Department of Labor understands that even-handed enforcement of labor law rewards compliant employers, assists mistaken employers, and frankly punishes the few bad actors that we have in the state. Under Governor Cuomo's leadership, the Department of Labor continues to work hard to ensure workers in all industries are treated fairly and paid appropriately and on time. And we continue to be a national leader in returning money to workers who have not been paid their proper wages. During the first months of 2016, more than $10 million was returned to more than 17,000 victims of wage theft in the state. This amount surpasses last year's first quarter total of $9 million and puts the state on track to exceed the $31.5 million in stolen wages and benefits recovered in 2015, and that was the highest ever. The Governor's Exploited Workers Task Force is making tremendous headway to reach into the invisible communities. The task force is a multi-agency effort, it's not just the DOL, and it's focused on uncovering mistreatment of workers in industries known to be prone to abuse. For too long, workers in those industries have felt silenced, ignored, and unable to come forward. That has never been acceptable in this state, and it certainly is not acceptable in 2016. The Governor's Unemployment Strike Force has already helped reduce unemployment rates in the 10 communities targeted so far. It's a record we're really proud of. Now we are targeting Western New York, where a number of people, mostly in minority communities, remain unemployed and still more face continuing barriers to employment. And we will continue to work in tandem with the Governor's Anti-Poverty Initiative to lift people up across the entire state of New York. Let's be clear, poverty is not a failure of will. It is a failure of society. We as public servants must come together at this pivotal time to build a sustainable middle class through a broad, multi-pronged, holistic solution. I believe a big part of that solution is raising the minimum wage, which was part of this year's budget. Putting New York on a path to $15 will give all New Yorkers the chance to earn, as FDR said, the wages of a decent living. What you have done ensures that the home health aide who bathe and feed our aging parents, excuse me, or the teacher's aides who watch over and protect our children or grandchildren when we're at work, or the fast food workers who are preparing our meals, can put good food on their own families' tables when they are not taking care of our families. On behalf of all of them and the Department of Labor, I say thank you. You have helped New York accomplish a major goal. I am so honored to have been chosen by the Governor to serve in this post. I believe my background in labor and communication and my experience as a small business owner have given me both the knowledge and the passion to succeed in this position and make a difference for all New Yorkers. Thank you once again for your time and your consideration. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you today, and I look forward to working with you in the days and months to come. And now I am very happy to take your questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Reardon. I know Senator Montgomery has a question.
Yes, and hello.
Hello, nice to see you.
I'm very happy to meet you and look forward to working with you. I wanted to you mentioned in your presentation building, moving into careers at work. And I'm so happy to hear that that's particular interest in those that you mentioned. And I just want to say that the Lieutenant Governor was in my district in Brooklyn last week. And one of the issues that she has also expressed particular interest in is an organization called Build. And it's a very, it's difficult because it's a hybrid sort of an organization serving young people. It's been very successful for the last couple of years. But it was started being funded in the federal Department of Labor. So it was in that department, federal level. But in actuality, it also is a youth diversion program. So it really targets difficult. But part of the success of it is that it does offer a stipend. So it's also a job for them. And it is statewide, though it started in the city, but it's now statewide. So it's in Buffalo, it's in, I believe, I told Rochester, it's in Albany area, it's in Long Island, and so on. So, and it is, the great thing about it is that it gives young people a trade and skills experience that is very valuable to both them and the communities that they find themselves in. So I'm very excited about it. I'm excited that the Lieutenant Governor sort of has adopted it. She knows it very well. She worked with them in Rochester, and so I hope to be able to work with you in one I would love to have you come without her. I don't control those, but I would certainly advise it. It would make it really exciting. And to talk about what can we do to expand the reach in terms of this program. That really works. We don't have to reinvent something. This one absolutely is and perhaps to get more other than the building trade, which they specialize in, to get other industries involved with them, to get the state, because we have not really funded them adequately in our state. So I just wanted to say that to you while I have your attention, and I'm looking forward to working with you to hopefully be able to capitalize on one of those, I suppose, really hidden secrets that the state already has to expand that. And I'm hoping that it can be expanded in your department in particular.
Thank you. It sounds like a wonderful program. I don't know it yet, but it sounds terrific, and I would love to have a conversation with you about it. One of the things that we do a lot of work with at the DOL is apprenticeships, and we are looking to expand apprenticeships. Apprenticeships are mostly in the building trades, and they're highly successful. A great path for the middle class. A young person learns a craft while they're learning the craft, they're earning a paycheck, and when they leave, they have a job. And it's a wonderful model. We would like to take that model, and I think that sounds a little bit like what we're talking about, and expand it into other industries. We know that industries of the future like IT and some kinds of healthcare might be great places to do it. So we would love to have that conversation. It's a great way for people to really learn a craft and earn a salary at the same time. So thank you.
Thank you. Senator Brimhall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner, welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure to see you here today. You cited some of the statistics, and I understand that the region, but we still are facing some significant economic challenges, particularly in many of the regions across the state. One of the programs that the Department of Labor had before the governor's leadership was to really go into some of these chronically challenged areas with specific tasks that are being identified. Can you, I represent the Long Valley and the North Country, some of that experience
Thank you. It's a great question, and I appreciate your asking it. We are very focused on the areas where there are pockets of unemployment, underemployment. We've done the strike force. The strike force started in the Bronx. It was highly successful. It is a very individualized approach. We work with each customer, we call them customers, who come in, and we assess each customer. What are your skill sets? What is your resume? Do you have a resume? Are you work ready, or do you need to have some kind of training to get you ready to go out to a job? We interview the businesses in the area and say, what are the jobs that you're offering and what kind of skill sets do you need? And then we need to match people up. We don't have a lot of training funds ourselves. We get most of our training funds from the federal government, and we try to pair people up with not-for-profits and community groups where they can also help with the training. But it's a very individualized approach, and it has been highly successful in the Bronx. We've now started to spread it out over, there are 10 communities across the state, and we're going to expand that. We've just started in Western New York, the Western New York, Buffalo, Lackawanna, and Niagara Falls effort. Again, it's an interesting thing out there because they have had an uptick in work and they've had a resurgence in the cities, but there are pockets, zip codes, where people have very high unemployment, and they have decades where families have grown up never seeing a parent have a regular job or a steady job through their lifetime. That is devastating to a family, and we know that we have to go in and work very closely with people and help lift them out of that situation. So we are talking to a lot of different groups to make sure that we're getting the best plan. The strike force is a great opportunity. Of course, the anti-poverty initiative is another one. And I know that we've asked, I'm going around and talking to all the REDCs to find out what their plans are, because we want to be the partner at the beginning of the planning stage, not after everything's done. We can help the businesses find the work talent that they need, and we can help the local inhabitants of that area be prepared when the factory opens or the stores are starved or whatever it is. So we're looking to be partners all the way through that process. But I agree with you, there are definitely places where the lack of opportunity is stark. And we are very aware of the extra kinds of efforts will have to be made to make sure that all of our citizens have opportunity across the state, no matter where they live.
Well, as you reach out to the RDCs, hopefully you will visit these areas, because I think your presence as well as access is going to be very important as you tackle some of these challenges.
Thank you. I have a big travel schedule this summer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Martins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had the privilege to work with the Commissioner this past year, certainly as Chair of Labor, and I just wanted to thank her for her efforts, certainly as somebody who understands the challenges of labor in New York State, somebody who understands how important it is to connect a person to a job. There's probably nothing that we in government do that is more important than facilitating and connecting someone who is unemployed to a job and giving them the dignity of being able to provide for themselves and their families. And those are the challenges that we face, not only in areas like those in Senator Griffo's district, but across the state.